Hey, what's up, guys? So I want to do my weekly review. I've been trying to figure out how I want to structure this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show my trades on of the week. I'm going to talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, how I messed up, what I did really well, and then just kind of go from there. And then I have a bunch of other stocks that in either my students brought up, or I saw in other chat rooms, or I saw on X, or whatever it might be. And I also want to talk about why I was not even interested in those, why I did not trade those, and things that you guys can look at. This is all just my own personal opinion. There's a million different ways you guys can trade. I'm not saying that my way is the best. I'm also not saying that I'm the best trader in the world either. I mess up like this week, clearly, and I'm going to talk about things that I did wrong, things I can improve on, and things I can bring into next week to make sure that I don't make the same mistakes. Because one of the best quotes that I got from Alex Ramosi is that if you, no matter how much material you absorb, how many videos you watch, how many books you read, if you guys don't implement that stuff, then all you're doing is wasting time. You're just as bad as I'm not trying to kick anybody down, but for me, that's why I don't watch Netflix. I don't watch these TV series, because for me, I want to better my life. I want to start doing things, and we all have 24 hours in the day. How you use that is going to determine what your life is like. That is what I truly believe. But when I'm watching all these videos and I'm reading all these books, and when I'm not implementing them, I'm still doing the same stuff as everybody else. If I'm not implementing that stuff, I'm just wasting time, essentially. And it might be a smarter way of wasting time, but at the end of the day, it's still wasting time. So, done with my rants. I'm going to go off on the first stock I traded in the week was CNX, or CN. CX. I'm going to put edge to trade up here. So CN or QNCX. Sorry, my coffee hasn't kicked in yet, so bear with me. So go through my checklist. What do I look for? Alright, the float. 37 million, green light. Short float, 5%, green light. Institutional ownership, 28%. It's still green light technically, but I'm like, ooh, it's almost at the cutoff. Then it's got two gap stats. It's 50-50. Okay, that's not the best thing. How much cash does it got? Months of cash. I mean, it doesn't need any money. So this is not an absolutely like, oh dude, I can't wait for this thing to set up. But and if you look at this, so this thing doesn't have a gap. It just took off like a rocket, right? I waited for it to find a topping, came up. I tried to get filled here. I didn't get a good fill. I hit the bid. I explained that in other lessons and stuff like that, and how you can get screwed up on short the bid sometimes. But I have a live recording of this, and I tried to get filled up here, but I didn't have my montage selected. And so when I did finally hit my montage, in like that 1 second it took me to click, I got a shitty fill. I got literally, like, I'm pretty sure I bottom ticked this candlestick. My risk goes up here. I size in accordingly to my risk. I cover half, cover another half, and I held for, I wanted a little bit more fade. But if you really look at this, from, my lessons and everything that I'm teaching, I mean, realistically, I should just covered everything. Because for me, that is the floor. And it hit the floor. So, I mean, you can want whatever you want, but, it's, alright, are you realistic? How I want to go through this, though, is I'm going to go to QNCX. So this is the stock popping up. All right, first thing I do, I go to, 1 second, move my face out of the way. I go to the daily. All right, cool. So, well, shit, that's a red flag, isn't it? It's above daily resistance. I mean, if I can go to max, I'm not going to do that. I like, for me, I only need to go back to, a year really. But it's above daily resistance. Like, so this is a lot more, it's a lot sketchier. Okay. Well, like I said, this thing did just shoot up from here. So it just went up 45%. I mean, it didn't go straight up, but it didn't exactly go parabolic the way that I like it to. But for me, I was like, well, it was worth it. So how you would have ideally traded it, look for the backside over here. Jesus. Look for it to find topping, go down, push back up, can't go any higher. It gives you a very small risk. I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure I have filled down here, so I had like a little over 10-cent risk, which is not good at all. Cover half here, cover half here. This, like, since these are so close, the way that I did it, I think that is the better way of doing it, because there's no sense covering twice in within 5 cents. So that's just my own personal preference. So there's the first stock I traded on the week. I had a good trade on this thing. Then I went. I don't remember what day, so we'll just do it like this. PLBY. I don't remember. I think this was yesterday. So anyways, what we do is we go over here, PLBY. I'll try to make this as fast as possible. So float, green light, 51 million. Short float, 7%, green light. Institutional ownership, over 30%, negative. Insider ownership, 30%. I also don't like that either. That is part of my criteria. I don't like seeing 30% institutional ownership or insider ownership or short float. It does not have. It's negative on cash, so it needs money. That's great. No SSR, 4 gap stats. Ooh, green light. 3 of them close green, 1 closes red. So realistically, this is not something ideal. Which, I also want to bring this in. So this is one of my setups, but at the same time, one thing that I was kind of bust my own balls about is, okay, cool, I'm taking a trade at 115, but my target's at like $1. So for me, I'm always telling my students, what's your time worth? And honestly, I'm very disappointed in myself, because my time was worth a lot more than 15 cents. Yeah, I went in with big size on this thing, but I mean, the stress that comes with that, it was not worth the trade. I never should have been in here or here. This is a valid trade. This is another valid trade, but this would have been the money over here, and I'm going to dive into that a little bit here in a second. So we already did this one, PLBY. So like I said, this is my setup. It goes up here, but once again, what is your time worth to you? My time should be worth a hell of a lot more than 15 cents. This thing comes up, that's great, cool. But what I should be doing is going back to the daily. Okay, cool. Just move my head again. Zoom this shit in. Alright, so there is a daily level at $1.55. Cool. Alright. Is there any other levels? There's a ultimate high right there. This is a little bit low. It gapped over that. So these would be like the levels. Okay, cool. So you go back to the 1 minute chart. Really, it's, right in here. All right, cool. It did bust through the level, but it starts finding a double top up here, fails. This is a valid trade. And if you're trading the way that I teach it, and you're a beginner, well, first off, if you're a beginner, you should not be trading this. It's over pre-market high. Have rules. Only trade gap and crap. That's it. If you're a little more advanced, you'd risk right here. Okay, so cool. You'd be down 1R. All right. Well, it topped out up here. It didn't break over 150. But if you look at the volume has got a shit ton of volume right here in these, 3 minutes. And then all of a sudden it drops off. It comes back up here. It has lower volume, can't break over the high. You don't take the first trade on the front side. You wait for it to find stuff. Second candle, okay, what's it do? How's it react? Either the second or the third candle would be the ideal situation to get in at. Cool, you take a trade. 50%, 50%, 50%. Last piece, you cover over here, okay, which is basically the same as your first trade, okay. But you hold because if this final target gets hit, I mean that's a good chunk of change, and like that can add up over time. That's the proper way to trade this stock. That's how I should have traded this stock, and what I'm doing with you guys right now is how you guys. I'm actually not going to delete this because I'm going to go back. And I'm going to do a few different things afterwards. Anyways, that's what I should have done. What I did do was this. Bullshit, good. I like that. Stuffed out, fake breakout of high of day. I'm okay with that, but this is not how a stuff should be reacting. I'll go into that in more lessons when I do the live replay in my classroom. But yeah, so next stock, PLBY, kick you off, TNON. Okay, so this thing screwed me over. I got faked out. TNON. Okay, so we go through this. Not ideal. It's under 5 million float. Short, low float, green light. Institutional ownership, green light. Insider ownership, green light. Behind on cash, that's great. No SSR. 8 gap stats. 6 close green or 6 close red. That's a green light. So the only thing that I'm worried about is the float. Well, the float is important. I'm not going to lie. Like, float is absolutely important. But how much volume is traded? Because 3 million float is important to think about. But the other factor that goes into that is how much volume is it traded. If it's trading 200 or 300 shares, or 200 or 300,000 shares, I mean, yeah, like it's still risky. It doesn't take, it just takes one person to ruin your trade. But if you do things correctly, you can trade this. I do teach that you should be trading half size, which I did do on this. So this is a daily level. This is a daily level. Pops up here, finds a topping. I think I took a trade right here. I think I took a trade on the front side of this. I think I took it at this level, which is a previous day high. I think it's after hours high. Yeah, after hours high. Took a trade right there. It didn't react the way I liked it. I cut it off. Came back up. I took a trade, and then at 8 o'clock, this volume started coming in. I got sketched out. I should have had risk on still because my target wasn't hit. I got a little bit too detailed, got cut out, and it went without me. But that would have been the ideal place to trade because it broke over the level, came back, then it rejected that level. That would have been a perfect trade, risking off the high, cover, and then I believe cover after the open. I'm not adding. When I first started trading, I used to add all the time. I don't add. The only way that I would add is if this thing came up around this level, I would be willing to add back the same size to go back in full size, risking off the high. But I'm not adding down on this BS. Like I just don't do that stuff anymore. That's just my personal preference. Like I said, there's a million ways that you can skin a cat. If you guys find some value in trading that kind of stuff, more power to you. then CDXC. CDXC. Dun, 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 dun. All right. 50 or 40, 45 million float, green light. Short float, green light. Institutional ownership, green light. Insider ownership, red light. No SSR. Has 5 gas stats, 3 closed red. These are all pretty good, except for the other thing that this doesn't show is on this day in particular, this is easy to borrow. If you guys don't understand what that means, when you're short selling, you basically borrow the shares from your broker. You pay a fee to to have the shares so that you can sell first and buy back. Depending on what your broker is, you might pay high fees. Like if you're with somebody that, like Trade Zero or something like that, you might be paying quite a bit. I know some of my students are with Zimtra. They seem to be pretty good. I'm with Cobra personally. Cobra, in my personal opinion, is phenomenal. I know a couple friends that are with like Centerpoint or whoever you're with. They have different fees depending on how many shares you're trading with. It can be anywhere from like $5 to $20 something. Like I said, depending on your broker. But when you have something that is easy to borrow, you don't have to pay those fees, which means that it can mess with a lot of beginner shorts mind, because they're like, oh dude, I can make a lot of money, I don't have to pay for locates, and then they'll start hammering this thing and they'll get themselves in some trouble. CDXC, I traded this, took a short right here. I saw this thing stuffing out, couldn't break over, I took the short. I didn't like the way it's reacting, it's making like a curl. I cut out, it squeezed back up, it puffed, slammed back down. I took a trade, and then I was just like, dude, I'm done with this. It was not working out very well. And this is how I should have traded it. CDXC, where are you? Did I even have that on here? CDXC, I don't see you. Oh yeah, there you go. Alright, so this thing finds a top-in, right? Okay, so the first thing you do, you go to the yearly. Alright, well that's a huge problem. It's over all-time highs. It is in uncharted territory, which is not good for a short sell. You want to have this thing having like, levels above you, like ceilings that, reduce your risk. This thing comes up, it fails, a significant amount, comes back up, makes a lower high, you take the trade, risking the high. Okay, cool. Cover half, break even. Once you make money, you don't have risk on anymore. That's how I teach it. You guys, like I said, you can trade it however you want. That's how I teach it. This came back up in a second time, same levels, 1, 2, 3. All right, you take a trade on second or third attempt, whatever, whenever you see your signal to trade. Okay, you take a trade, cover half. If you were quick enough, cover half, or maybe down over here. I'll break even. A couple things to note with this. If you look how this thing is just grinding, and so it found a floor here, then it's got these buy-up candles here, and then it's got this other here. The floor keeps raising, and so for me, that's like, okay, that's not what I want to see the stock reacting like if I'm going to be in a trade to make money. And so that's something that you have to. It's easier said than done. I'm sitting here and I'm not in a trade. It's easy to see that stuff, but that's why you go back and do this stuff that I'm doing right now. This is how you learn. This is how you have to keep yourself in the market. You have to understand, okay, well, like, what I do good, what I do bad. The other thing about this is, look at the volume. The volume is just dying. But the volume's dying, but this is just grinding up. That's not what you want to see. You want to see something that has crazy volume, shoots up. People start buying because they're getting greedy. Okay, you take the trade, and then it starts to fail. When there's no volume, the stock should fall. It's not falling, so that is a bad sign for me. In other words, I should not have been in this damn trade. And then the last trade is ASPI. This came up here. I took a short. I don't exactly remember why I took the short right here. Short. I got stopped out. I took a trade right here, and then it went down. How I should have traded it was... This is a good level to trade at. I'm not going to go into that on this video, but this is a good level to trade at. So my idea was right. My risk was not right. And because of that, because I got greedy, I used way too much size, and it didn't work. If I would have sized in accordingly, I would have had a monster freaking day. Like, you're trading up here at $8.80. Your final cover would have roughly been in here. You know, this is, $1.40. Like, monster day, monster opportunity. And because I got greedy, I missed out on it. And like I said, you go to the daily, you guys can kind of see, I mean, this thing gapped up, but then it already had a day a couple days ago. I wasn't trading it because it was easy to borrow, and it was going crazy as shit, and I was just like, dude, I don't want to mess with this thing. Once again, if you go over to ASPI, I'm sorry, this is a lot longer video than I wanted to be making, but hopefully you guys are getting something from this. 61 million float, 16% short float, 5 institutional ownership, 10 insiders. No idea, months of cash. They do have working capital, 5 gaps, 3 closed red. I mean, it's not like there isn't anything that's like, oh shit, like don't trade this. But I don't remember why I didn't. I think it was just because it was no. Oh, I remember. I do remember this. I screwed up on this actually. I like this. There was another day, and this is why you go back and do this kind of stuff, because I missed a freaking phenomenal trade right here. I forgot about this, but that's another thing. I tell my students all the time, I don't have the best memory. This was a freaking amazing trade. I just didn't like it because part of my biggest problem is I'm a greedy son of a bitch. Honestly, I am. I want to use big size because I want to see big numbers. I want to see big paydays, and it's one of the things that my entire trading career I've had to deal with. And I don't want to see, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with making $100 or $200 a day. This is why I went out and bought this, because it's not only a reminder for my students, but it's a reminder for me. And really, I need to freaking hang this up. But you don't need to make a shit ton of money to absolutely change your life. The problem is, I think that when I first started trading stocks, I had a lot of beginner success, and I really do give that thanks to kickboxing. I was a very high level kickboxer, and a lot of stuff translated over into my trading. But I always want to push it. If I see people, that's also why I stay out of Discord rooms, because it messes with me. When I start seeing other people posting easy $5,000 a day or easy $10,000, that makes me want to push the size to make that kind of money. The difference is that's ego based, and that's another thing that I've had to deal with a lot in my kickboxing career, and my kickboxing career and in trading stocks, and that's just me being real. But That's why I stay out of most Discord rooms. I don't like Discord rooms, and that's why, honestly, at the end of the day, that's why I made my own Discord room. Is because I think that the way that most Discord rooms are ran, it's more like it's like a bunch of junkies are together in a room. And I know I'm going off topic on this thing, but you know, I I wanted to use big size so I could be like, holy shit, I made X. I'm not going to go blast it out to my students or my room or whatever, but for me, and I think that's something that I'm always going to be dealing with, and I wanted this thing up closer so I would feel more comfortable using the size I wanted to use. But if I would have just been smart and I would have sized in accordingly, I would have freaking killed this stock. You don't need huge size to make good money on a stock like this. I mean, this freaking thing topped out at 920 and comes back down here. I don't know where the hell you would cover at, like right in here. For me, if it doesn't hit the final target, I cover right before our end of day. Okay, cool. That's $6.90. That is a monster trade. A monster trade. And that's, something that I have to I don't deal with. But anyways, I came back on Friday. I tried to trade it over here. But once again, I did not trade the best way. Where did that? So I took a trade right in here. 8:20, 10 o'clock. Sorry if you guys hear any stuff in the background. My wife's a dog groomer and she's got a client over here. So a little bit before 10. Okay, so I'm trading over here. So I'm trying to top tick this thing. So first off, this isn't exactly the ideal area. Over here would have been the ideal area. When I started mapping that stuff out, I think that I was trading the P&L, honestly. I really was trading the P&L. I was trading 3 different tickers yesterday, and I was trying to force things, and I didn't size it incorrectly. I didn't have great risk management, and I wasn't being calculated. Once again, that is something that happens to you when you start trading the P&L, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people, have problems with. But this is how you should have been trading it. Is okay, look at how much more volume this thing's trading over where I'm trading at. The volume's dying off, right? Dying off, but it's making a higher low, a volume divergence into my ideal level. Okay, finds a topping, cool. I'm not trading front side. Finds a topping, lower high. Like this would have been obviously the most ideal area to trade, but at the same time, if you look at that stuff, the volume's higher, and so for me, like maybe on the doji, or how I drew it in. Over here. It really doesn't matter. Wherever the hell you guys want to do it, you just make sure that your risk is on point. But you take a trade, here at $8.80. You cover half at $8.46, and then another half at $8.08. Another half at $7.78, and then the final piece around here at $7.43. That is a solid ass trade. That's something to be super happy about, and that's why it's really good to do this kind of stuff, because if I would have traded it correctly, I would have killed it this week. I would have killed it. But because I let my emotions get the best of me, it kind of screwed me up. Another thing that I was going to try to trade was this stock, BKYI. So once again, we'll go over here to my trusted little buddy, Edge to Trade. If you guys don't use Edge to Trade, I highly recommend it. It makes your life so much easier. And I have a discount code, AdamEdge. I believe it gets you 15 or 20% off. So check it out. The other stock is BKYI. It was a micro float though, under 3 million shares. I can't remember if it's SSR or not. I need to start writing that stuff in. low short float, low institutional ownership, low insider ownership, and it needs money. And it's got 7 gap stats, closes red 5 times. The problem with this was, I wanted this thing to do a pop and fail of this level. That's what I'm looking for. But it just rips, halts, opens, halts, opens again, and then like this happened in like literally, I mean like not even a second, like a half of a second. This stuff just happened, halts down, I missed it. And I didn't get filled, and I was pissed, and I was just like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. So that really, really sucked. The other one that some people were talking about was Arab. I did not want to trade Arab at all, because for me, when you look at this, how do you? I don't know how I trade this. This looks like a shit show. It looks, there's no volume. It's just, for me, this is just a horrible. I would have traded this. I don't like when my EMAs are crossing all over the place like this. There's no range. And I was just like, nah, dude, I'm not going to trade that. Another one that was, in my personal opinion, stupid as hell was I saw people calling out MDXG. Once again, this is even worse than the other one. It's not trading. There's no volume at all. And if you go, this one is worth looking up. MDXG. Like, I saw people calling this shit out, and I'm like, dude, what are you guys talking about? It's got 61% institutional ownership, 4 gaps, 50-50. Like, it's got plenty of money. What, how you gonna, and you look at the chart, it's like, why would people ever call this out? You start seeing, younger version of me would have been like, oh my god, dude, this thing's up from $6 to $7.20. It's a small cap, it's gonna go down. And I'd be getting in on this shit, probably like shorting lows down here, like down at the very bottom of this stupid thing, getting squeezed out, take a decent sized loss on this thing, try it again down at the lows, get squeezed out again, and like, it's crazy to me. You need to have stock selection, risk management, and a playbook. What are your setups? And anybody that's actually made it this far, a little freebie. Really, write out what are your setups. If you're trading small caps, you probably have gap and crab, gap and extension, and maybe a long or something. Okay, that's great. What do they mean? Okay, so you traded gap and crab. What does that mean to you? What does it have to look like? If it does look right, then what is your risk? Where are you risking off of, and how do you cover out your targets? If you just start making shit up in the middle of the trade, that's how your emotions get the best of you, and you're going to get tore up. So anybody that has watched this, I hope you guys got something from this. I'm going to give myself a little plug at the very end for those of you guys that are actually doing the work. If you guys want a free trading community, if you guys are having a hard time figuring out how to find consistency, I have a free trading community. I do have a subscription side to it that right now for the first 20 people is $50 a month, but you don't have to pay anything. I really do truly believe that I can get people to be consistent and start making money for free. And so if you guys want to join a free community, a lot of really good people in there, that we're really making a family. And as long as you're not one of those douchebags that calls out the P&L and has got a huge ego, you'll fit right in. And if you don't fit right in, then the asshole that owns it is going to kick you out really quick. So anyways, I hope you guys all had a good week. I hope you guys traded better than I did. And I hope the next week I have much better charts to show you guys. Have a good one.